In this section, I will be discussing the role of the lean economy in promoting mass outsourcing and a race to the bottom for labor on a global scale. Since the latter half of the 20th century, capitalist led globalization has taken the world by storm. One of the most prominent results of this rapid development can be seen in the online economy and the mass outsourcing that has become a mainstay of this new labor system. The site Fiverr will now be examined as it is one of the most prominent examples of digital labor outsourcing to date. Fiverr brands itself as an online marketplace for freelance services. However, it is much more than a place for freelance artists and side hustlers to find an audience. Fiverr and its growing base of competitors are increasingly becoming relied upon for the outsourcing of mainstream traditional tasks and jobs. Only a few decades ago, the only companies that outsourced their work were transnational corporations, of which only a few existed when compared to today. However, the proliferation of sites such as Fiverr and the development of the lean economy has allowed any business in any part of the world to access this marketplace of cheap labor and effectively outsource these tasks to the third world. As an article in The Atlantic so aptly puts it, for buyers, the appeal of these sites is obvious. They're a great place to find skilled and semi-skilled sellers willing to work for cheap. While this may initially appear beneficial to both parties, a study conducted by Dr. Mark Graham of the Oxford Internet Institute would indicate differently. In his study, Graham found that while digital freelancing has grown to an estimated $4.4 billion industry, most of the buyers are situated in high-income countries such as the United States, and most sellers are in countries such as Nigeria, India, and the Philippines. In this sense, lean economy has continued to promote the exploitative nature of capitalism by ensuring that only the cheapest labor is consumed to maximize buyer profits on the international system. To conclude, the lean economy and the business model it promotes have successfully decentralized labor factories, using the internet as a medium for hiring contract workers, both short-term and long-term, and destabilizing many traditional jobs across the world by moving them online. Where before a company might have hired a college co-op to perform some less appealing work, now these tasks are easily outsourced to laborers in the third world who get neither the proper financial compensation for their work nor the safety and benefits of long-term traditional employment.
Hello everyone, my name is Zeming and my part to discuss today is called the Empire of Platform Economy. As we know, the platform economy perfectly incorporates with lean platform, as a platform operates through outsourcing, which is but not limited to its employees, fixed capital, maintenance, and training outsourcing. The business module were to some extent a reverse of corporations organizing in welfare countries, which is professionally assembly line and vertical integration, as we know as the promoted organizing pattern under neoliberalism. The platform economy not only outgrows the regular labor unit, but also furthering atomizing the relationship employer and employee under capitalism. The takeout apps is a form of very successful platform capitalism example, as it incorporates lean economy. This platform stood out during the COVID-19 pandemic because with limited space interactions between the platform, the restaurants, the consumer, and the delivery employees. Not even before the pandemic, these platforms have already trending in China for the past few years and have become a normalized way of their lifestyle. And the reason behind that is because the platform not only exploit the delivery employees by giving them as little salary as possible, but also the monopoly the platform has over the restaurants. To the restaurants, not only they have to sign the contract in order to get more publicity on the apps, but also they need to cut out at least 15% per sale instead of the 15% of its profit to the platform, which it keeps growing and could reach to 30%. With the platform has promotion and discounts sometimes, most of these discounts were coming from the restaurants. If the restaurant did not abide the contract, their restaurant would disappear from the top list, where will often sort it according to the distance and end up at the very bottom of the list. The delivery guys in the system are the most exploited. Not only they have a certainly time frame for each order, the delivery tasks are often comes in with 3 orders and more, with widely separated locations. leaving them little time to go from restaurant A to restaurant B and deliver the food fast and safely to household A and household B. In China, the system was once so intense that the delivery guys who ride scooters sometimes risk their lives and have great services to get a 5-star rate so that they don't get filtered out among the colleagues. In, in conclusion, the exploit from the platform is non-stopping. They will always find new ways to gain more profit, as James described in his books. From this, with the gentle push, Uber can persuade the driver to drive a few more miles. If you earn another £10, your net income will reach £330. Are you sure you want to go offline now? Such tricks existed in the period of not only the monopoly capitalism but applies today as well.
In today's world, digital rights are the gateway to workers' rights. It is vitally important that online platform workers such as Uber workers and couriers have full access to their data at work on the Uber platform, as well as a full explanation of how the algorithm works. Because Uber is a digital platform, the company pretends not to be the boss, so it can avoid employer obligations such as holiday pay, sick pay, as well as safety and equalities protection. With the power Uber wields over data and information, they can skirt basic labor laws to keep the workers' pay as low as possible and their profits as high as possible. How can drivers even challenge discrimination or unfair algorithms if everything is hidden from the workers?
As the lean economy has grown, so has its reach into the professional field. Should a company choose not to outsource their work globally, they can still take advantage of competition within their skilled labor industries through use of contracting and freelance work. While this form of labor offers the benefit of flexibility, its popularity and the normalizing of it has led to a harmful form of worker misclassification and informality. Jamal Green describes worker misclassification as the labeling of workers as independent contractors, as opposed to actual employees of the firm. Designated separate of the corporation, workers are offered little opportunity in regards to the benefits they may have formally, such as healthcare, union support, upwards mobility, and the simple power to oppose. With a pool of other skilled laborers also looking for employment, freelancers work with the knowledge that, should they challenge the corporation in any way, there are others willing to take their place. The legal gray area and informal practices around freelance work can keep individuals working a salaried employee's job through a temporary contract that a corporation continues to lengthen for years. Creative work has been most impacted by this growing trend of freelancing. Caspar Hodemakers describes the contradiction of the music industry, wherein attachment to autonomy sits uneasily alongside the need for collaboration, and the strong self-identification with one's output is managed alongside appearing flexible and employable within rapidly changing and chaotic labor markets. Unless one has the connections and reputation to survive independent of the oligarchy of record companies, workers have to balance their artistic integrity with a skill set wide enough to attract interest, even for one-song contracts. Furthermore, Janet Merkel notes that creative work comprises a great variety of non-monetized forms of labor, as working unpaid to get a foot in the door or as a gift is normalized, and the relationship between employer and employee becomes informal in the employer's favor. The lean economy offers skilled laborers a flexible alternative to salaried employment, but in many cases, its lack of strict regulation leads to a toxic relationship with both their labor and employer.
Throughout history, capitalism has proven to accelerate the rate of transmission of diseases. The bubonic plague spread from China via the Silk Roads to Europe over a decade. Coronavirus has spread in the matter of weeks along industrial routes reaching East Asia, the Middle East, Europe, North America, and Brazil. Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Research Center discovered that viruses spread through capital circuits more noticeably in comparison to random community transmission. Platform capitalism has either helped businesses to thrive or diminish during the global pandemic. 50 million gig economy workers around the world sustain industries which provide key services such as food delivery, household essentials, and more. A recent study by the Fair Work Foundation revealed over 120 platforms across 23 countries did not provide their workers the access to basic employment protections. This means workers are losing out on basic benefits, which include fair pay, fair conditions for prevention and illness, fair contracts, fair management, and fair representation. Platforms have prioritized the needs of shareholders, investors, and customers above their workers who form the foundations of the platform business. For instance, Amazon operations, which are conducted in warehouses, are dependent on a labor force. However, despite this environment being a high risk for contamination, delivery has not ceased. Platforms have been providing substantial philanthropic initiatives towards healthcare and relief efforts, yet they cannot do the same for their employees. The government has also done little to protect workers' rights, cornering individuals between the get-out clause or risking their well-being. Those who choose to continue working are responsible to protect themselves from infection and informed to do so by simply washing their hands regularly and wearing a mask. Minority groups have been at most risk within platform capitalism during the pandemic. Social distancing has been least effective for the poorest, most vulnerable, marginalized members of society. Migrant workers have little to no access in seeking healthcare assistance due to the lack of public or government funding, forcing them to pay out of pocket for healthcare assistance. The UK has no recourse to public funds for healthcare for those with migrant status. The fear of medical bills, job loss, or compromising visa status puts pressure on migrants to continue working as there is no alternative in their position. A portion of women within the industry offering care work, domestic, and beauty services have reported suspension of their services or combining family life with work, thus exposing their families. This is the reality when there are no means to accommodate a sick policy during the pandemic. Platform capitalism and the lean economy have adapted to the harsh realities of a global pandemic. The cost of convenience to work in this world of platform capitalism puts workers at a great risk of being exploited, but that is the spirit of innovation within the lean economy.